Thank you.
On page 2, at the bottom of your budget expenses that was ran this afternoon, you'll see that there's now a total department request of $352,093 for the Commissioner of Revenue, and that includes reducing the, or removing the requested full-time position. Ms. Whitby, do you have anything you'd like to add to this request?
Nothing, just what do we, just, I'm gonna reiterate that, with removing the full-time position, it's a cost savings in salaries and fringes of $45,129. So the keyed-in items are reduced by that amount, so that saved that much money.
Do any of the board members have any additional questions at this time? We ask if you would please advise if you would like to come to a consensus on moving forward with Ms. Swenson's budget request for fiscal year 22.
You want a formal motion?
Yes, sir, that's
I
fine.
make the motion that we adopt this that's been presented today.
Second.
Been moved in second that we adopt this. All in favor? Roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Mr. Conwell.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we would like to revisit the request by Ms. Conwell, the registrar. This again is for the fiscal year 22. Ms. Conwell previously requested to add a full-time position for the registrar's office. The funds needed are in the department's budget request that you see in your budget printout. And that is on page 5 if you'd like to take a look at that. If the board chooses not to fund the new full-time position, Ms. Conwell respectfully requests to fund an increase in the number of part-time hours. Ms. Conwell, do you have anything you would like to add to your request? Members of the board, do you all have any questions right now? Ms. Whitby, anything you would like to add?
Okay, if we do add the full-time position, it's gonna be $30,000 plus fringes, and that is included in the budget. My only other question for Ms. Conwell is, if the full-time position is not approved, will you be able to use the part-timers you have now and keep them under the 29 hours, or would you have to have more more part-time personnel? More. Okay, so you would need more. Okay.
I move that we approve Ms. Conwell's budget.
A second.
Been moved in second that we approve Ms. Conwell's budget. All in favor with a roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Mr. Conwell.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have a request from the clerk's office. Ms. Linda Edwards, clerk, is here to present a proposed salary increase. Ms. Howerton will be distributing the information from Ms. Edwards. And this is a revised budget request on April the 5th to use proposed comp board savings to supplement the salaries of the clerk's office staff. Ms. Edwards?
Good afternoon. Okay, before you should have a letter, an email from the comp board stating that they are taking over Rhonda Cherry's salary. They are increasing her salary to $32,095. Well, wait a minute, let me get the right one. Let me get the right sheet. They're increasing it to $32,193, which leaves a total of $17,646, which you all have funded, which is currently in my budget for our salaries. I'm just asking if that could supplement the rest of the girls' salary, since the comp board is taking over Rhonda's salary, and you all no longer pay that, will pay that for her.
Ms. Whitby, do you have anything to add? Or I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Brown.
And, excuse me, one more thing. Our salaries are reimbursed. The comp board reimburses our salary, so the county does not pay our salary. This is just a supplement. The remaining, what you all was paying Rhonda, would be just a supplement to our salaries.
Okay, when you say a supplement with the 17,646,
It's,
that's added to the salary per year?
yes, that's currently what you are paying for Rhonda's salary, and you're reimbursed through the comp board. So I'm just asking if that money could just be moved to the additional employee's salary. It's not like it's being
Right, so
added,
bottom
it's
line
already
is,
there.
all of this funds is coming from the comp board, it's not
Yeah,
coming from the
it's-
county
it's all-
anyway.
the
You just want to
17,000
reallocate it.
The 17,000 is already in
In our
my
budget.
salary, in the budget. I just want to like you said, reallocate it.
Ms.
Okay,
Whitney?
yes, you are correct. It's position 5 through the comp board. We have been paying the majority of that, which equals 17,646. The comp board, as of July 1st, will be picking up that, and the salary that's in the email includes a 5% cost of living that the comp board is giving all constitutional employees. So they are getting a 5% pay increase, which is already in the budget. But also, we have 2 personnel that, position 1 and position 2, which is the chief and the chief deputy. We do pay some of their salary, which is about $10,595 because of the way it was approved. Now, if we hire somebody new, they're hired at the comp board salary. We don't supplement. But these 2 positions, years ago, when the state mandated 5%, the comp board mandated it, but the comp board did not reimburse us. So really, it's only a savings of a little over $7,000 when you look at the 2 that we're supplementing a little bit and then the 17. So I subtracted the 2. So all of them will be getting a 5% pay increase for comp board as of July 1st.
I have a question. Linda, here's my question to this.
Yes.
Okay, as of right now, your budget already have the $17,646 in it.
Correct.
Okay, so if nothing else, then there's no additional funds that had to be coming from nobody else.
Correct.
You already have it, okay.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve that delete the $17,646 into her budget, since it's already there.
I second it since it's already there.
Been moved in second that we approve the 17,646. All in favor with a roll call vote?
Ms. A. Stroup,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Conwell.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. We'll make a note to leave that there as previously in your budget request. We will just need to know as far as how to allocate out to the individuals once that decision is made.
Thank you. I do have one change in my budget that, line item number 8202, I had originally requested a chef unit. That's $4,325. I will no longer need that. So that's $4,000 coming back to the county.
Thank you. That's on
Okay.
page 7. As she mentioned, that's 21,600, 8202. We will remove that from the budget as requested. Did anyone else have any additional questions for Ms. Edwards at this time? Thank you,
all.
Ms. Edwards. All right, the next item on our agenda that we have to discuss are the capital improvement request. Ms. Howerton will give those out now. And that will be shown on page 25, which is 94-100, 9201. And that is listed to transfer to local capital projects.
Give me page one more time, dear.
It is on page 25, 94-100, 9201. Right, what Ms. Howerton just gave you is there's several different things in the packet. We'll go over those one by one. You'll see the first sheet gives you an impact on the budget for the fiscal year 2022 capital improvement request. You'll see the Excel spreadsheet. And then behind that paper clip, you'll see the request for all of the projects. We'll look at them one by one to see if y'all have any questions. I'll do my best, or we'll do our best to answer those. If we need to request additional information from staff, we will. As with any of the projects, anything that is a shared services between the city and the county is broken up accordingly, and you will see that on the sheet. As well as if there's a bond services, you will see that, a bond proceed, you'll see that as well. The first item we have on the capital improvement request, and this is anything over 25,000, is for buildings and grounds as a maintenance pole shed. You'll see that as the first of the capital project request. You'll see that's behind your spreadsheet on these forms. Again, each one is on a separate form, and that is a request for $50,000 to provide additional shelter for the equipment that buildings and grounds currently uses. Do you all have any questions in regards to this?
Repeat that again.
The first request is a pole shed for the maintenance shop. That is for a total of $50,000, and that is to build a pole shed to help with keeping the equipment covered and providing an extended life for the equipment.
So currently, they don't have an indoor,
They don't have anything that will accommodate, and that includes holding the 4 signs that we just purchased. Those signs like you've seen that we've used when we had the vaccination clinics. We need somewhere to store those long-term because, believe it or not, when we had the bad winds the other day, one of them was blown over. You would think it was as heavy as it is, and that would provide, when we're not using them, that will provide a place to safely store those. And that's not a shared services, so this will be $50,000 from the county funds. Do you all have any questions in regard to this? And if you just want to do a consensus as we're going along of what to approve, or we can do it individually if that works for you all.
Yeah.
We do have the money is currently in the budget to cover all of this. How would you all like to proceed?
I'd like to see us proceed with this to protect the equipment.
Okay.
second.
Been moved and second that we'll protect the equipment. All in favor?
Ms. Straub,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Mr. Conwell.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item that we had is a shared services between the city. This is for the Commonwealth's attorney. This is to replace the deteriorating storefront on the Phoenix building. Currently, there is a wooden storefront, and that is deteriorating and rotting, and we are requesting to replace that with a heavier duty structure. And the cost of that right now is projected to be $100,000, with the county share of $67,380 and the city's share of $32,620. I would like to add the city would still have to approve these items as well.
My question would be this. I remember in recent, it hasn't been that long ago, we spent quite a bit of money on the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, but that kind of neglected, because it hasn't been that many years ago, and we spent tons of money.
From my understanding, it was before my time, but from my understanding, when it was remodeled, that money was spent on it, but from wooden products were used, and they're just deteriorating and rotting. I think there's an issue with the awning as well that's not protecting it. I would have to find out more specifics in regards to exactly what was spent.
I mean, it hasn't been that many years ago. We're talking 10 years or less.
Yes, sir. I would have to verify that information.
But I know I did go by and look at it after seeing this, and it is pretty bad shape on the street, on the sidewalk front.
I did too. It looks really bad.
I'm not questioning, I'm questioning what was done when we spent over $1 million within the less than that period of time, and why would someone must have neglected something for that to be looking like that in this short period of time.
And that's something we would have to go back and research, Mr. Kane. I think the concern right now is just the safety issue of the glass falling out. If the wood happens to come off there on the storefront, then the glass could potentially fall out. But we can look into that information, or look into that matter and give you more information.
I'm in agreement that something has to be done, because I have went by the building as well, and it looks really, really bad. And if a hard wind does come through, those glass panels are gonna come out. My issue is, I would like to see exactly what we're planning on replacing it with, so we're making sure that we are actually spending our money wisely and not just throwing money out the window as we just finished the front of that building, a few years back. I would just like to see what we're gonna replace it with to make sure that we're spending the money wisely.
Okay, and I can request that from the maintenance supervisor to give us additional details.
So we'll defer that.
All right, the next item is also a shared services, the next several items are shared services. The first is the repainting of the courthouse and clerk's office at a cost of $50,000. The county share for that is $29,345. The city share is $20,655 in that. And currently, the paint is flaking off the building, and it does cause some issues as far as allowing moisture to get into the brick, causing the brick to deteriorate and the mortar to deteriorate on a quicker basis.
Is that just the painting only?
That's just painting only. There's several things you'll notice on the courthouse, but each one is broken down by project. That is just painting the courthouse only and the clerk's office.
Okay, because those towers is made out of wood and.
The columns, yes, the columns are on here. That's actually the next item.
Can we
Okay.
actually hear all of that under the courthouse and then decide on what we
Yes.
want to do?
The next item is to replace the existing columns at the courthouse. They are rotting due to water damage. And this issue was addressed back in 2006, but continues to come back. It was put in the capital improvement budget 3 years ago, but was taken out because of potential renovations to the courthouse. To date, the project is still on hold, and our maintenance supervisor feels that at this time we can't continue to wait because they continue to deteriorate at even a quicker process than before. And we're just concerned again with the structural damage to the building and more of the potential of causing injury to someone if something was to happen with the columns. And the next item on the courthouse is replacing the flat roofs, and the courthouse, the columns is $150,000 to replace those. The county share will be $88,035. The city share is $61,965. And when these are replaced, it will be our goal to replace them with something that will be much more structurally sound and will not have to be replaced as quickly as before. They are currently wood, and when it was renovated some years ago, it was done in wood, and we're looking at doing something else that will be more of a composite-based. So again, it will not deteriorate as quickly as before. Next is the replacement of the flat roof. That's $65,000 for the total project, $38,149 for the county, $26,852 for the city. The current existing flat roofs are 25 years old. They're over 5 years of their life expectancy. They're only projected to have lasted 20 years. The last 2 years, maintenance has had to repeatedly make repairs to the roof. If not replaced, it can cause major water damage to the building and mold issues. So as the replacement of the flat roof, we have the exterior repairs of the cracking bricks at the courthouse. Currently, the bricks has cracks on the exterior corners. If left unrepaired, the brick will continue to crack until it causes structural issues to the brick and to the building. There is a separate request to do repair work on the clerk's office. However, since that's under $25,000, that would go under capital outlay. These are all capital improvement. Those are all of the ones that we're requesting currently with the funds, with the exception of the courthouse expansion project. We would like to looking at these other repairs first, and then look at the courthouse expansion project separately.
But all of these are dependent upon the city agreeing to pay their portion, correct?
Yes, all those will be dependent upon the city paying their portion as well.
On your courthouse expansion project, what is we talking there?
The courthouse expansion project, you'll notice in your packet, is something that's been discussed for some years now. That's an addition that will be added to the northern side of the courthouse in the former Greensville Bank building, which will be demolished. A connector will be added between the new construction and the existing courthouse, as well as between the courthouse and the clerk's office. All visitors will report to one entrance, which will result in a safer and more secure environment. So that will be safety and security enhancements to the courthouse. The entrance would move from where it is now. Everyone would move to one entrance, and it would be a more safe and secure environment. That is at a total cost of $2.175 million. That would be through a bond proceed, and that would be a shared cost between the city and the county based on the shared services agreement. That is not included in our amount that's in the budget for the capital improvement projects, because it will be something that would go through a bond process.
Let me ask this, as far as the other projects that we've talked about within the courthouse, if we approve the courthouse expansion project, does that delete those? Is that figure included in this 2.175?
They are not included in the courthouse expansion project. So these are separate projects outside of the courthouse expansion project. and you could look at adding them to the courthouse expansion project. The concern is the length of time it's gonna take for all parties to decide on a, architectural plans for a courthouse expansion, and the process it takes to go through borrowing the money, going through the drawings, the construction process. That is the concern of staff, is holding off on these projects. If you hold off on those and put them in the courthouse expansion project, then it's gonna take even more time for some of these to get done, because it's gonna take a while to go through the whole process, because that's been an ongoing process for a while. It was put on the back burner, and even if we restart the process again, it will take some time for you to go through the entire process of the courthouse expansion project.
Has it been approved yet to demolish the building next to the courthouse?
That would all have to be in the process of the expansion project. So there's still a lot of moving parts with that.
I think it's still a lot of discussion, a lot of questions around the expansion project. But I mean, we've got to maintain what we currently have. So I think we need to look at doing these projects here as far as the painting and columns and roof of what we have existing now.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Because
And-
there are a
and
lot,
all
I
of-
have a lot of questions on this expansion project.
And all of this would be contingent on the city agreeing
Yes,
to
sir.
pay their part.
That would be contingent on the city agreeing to pay their part, excuse me. Would you like to move forward with a consensus to
I
go ahead
move-
with these projects?
I move we go ahead with these projects to maintain our buildings contingent on the cities paying their portion.
Second.
Been moving in second, that we'll maintain the maintenance on the courthouse. All in favor with a roll call vote?
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Mr. Conwell.
Aye.
In regards to the courthouse expansion project, would you all like to defer that at this time?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, the next item we have is, next two items are bipolar ionization air purifier and cleaning systems. The maintenance department has looked at replacing or adding this additional feature in, which would help to purify the air, making a healthier environment for our employees and the public as they enter the facilities. The reason you do not see any of the other buildings that the county is a part of is because they're under the $25,000. That would be part of the capital outlay, because anything under $25,000 is part of capital outlay. We also are hoping to use CARES funds for those other buildings, for example, like Community Corrections, Department of Social Services, District 19, Health Department. Any of those buildings, again, are under $25,000, so we're looking at using current CARES fund to cover that cost. You will see the Golden Leaf Commons SVEC, and the VEC is listed as $52,086, and the government building is listed as $57,082. We did include that currently in the capital improvement project request. However, I understand that we're getting additional CARES funding. At this time, we have not received an amount for the CARES funding, nor have we received any of the stipulations or guidelines. If we are able to use that, and if you all approve, there's a possibility that we could move these under the CARES funding as well. We don't know how long it's going to take, so this can be something that we can move the money later if you all go ahead and have a consensus to leave these in the capital improvement projects. And then if we do receive CARES funding, then we can move the funds at a later time.
It's to my understanding with my meeting with Senator Kane, when I left the last board meeting early to meet with him, it is to my understanding that we will be receiving more CARES funds, and we will be able to cover these expenses with that money. So I'm okay with approving it,
Okay. I'll
and
second
we move
that.
that money.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Mr. Conwell.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is Planning Department. That's the Liberty Road extension. This is the preliminary engineering report only for a total of $18,000. In your packet, you'll see a proposal for Liberty Road extension. The total project request is $1,806,700. What we're requesting this year, what the Planning Department is requesting, is only for the preliminary engineering report. That is required before you can move forward. That will be what we need to cover in the current fiscal year before we can move forward with the project. Again, that's $18,000, and that's a complete county project.
How
I'd like
long
to
would it
make-
take for that report to,
The engineering project, I am not sure. Usually it probably takes at least 6 to 9 months. I can find that out and get back with you on that. But again, there's a total project cost of 1.806 million, but for this this upcoming fiscal year, we're only requesting 18,000 to complete the Phase 1 environmental engineering report.
I think we should go forward with this project because living right there by Liberty Road, I have seen emergency services get stuck behind those guardrails when they come down. And there's nothing worse than to see a loved one stuck in the back of an ambulance, stuck behind a railroad crossing, then they can't get out, or a house on fire and the railroad thing is down and they can't get to the fire and you know, someone possibly lose their life. So I think this is something important that we really need to look into for the residents on that Liberty Road area, because it's really dangerous to be stuck back there and you can't get out. You have no way of getting out if that train is on that track. And that train sits on that track a many a night. When I say a many a night,
so it's been moved, we got a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and second that we approve the extension of Liberty Road. All in favor with a roll call vote?
Ms. Astrop.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Conwell.
Aye.
The last item that you have on the fiscal year 22 CIP request is for solid waste collections. That's the replacement of a boom truck at the cost of $145,000. There's some issues with the current truck that we have. It's very old. It continues to need some additional maintenance. So staff is requesting to replace the truck at a cost of $145,000, and it's based on an association contract that we already have. Do you all have any questions in regards to this?
I think we really need it, and in talking to the, Mr. Parker, so I make the motion that we approve this.
How often is that truck used, though?
Huh?
How often is the boom truck used?
When we don't have it in use, we have to go out and rent it. And from him, it's regular, and when we have to rent some, it is an expensive charge to us when we rent.
How old is the truck we have now?
Let me see if that's on the request.
20 years. 20 years old. Number 4. It's 20 years.
20 years, I'm sorry, okay, thank you. It is over 20 years old.
It keeps working now, so.
So it's been moved, in a second?
This truck was originally purchased years ago when we didn't have the manned dumpster sites, and we had a truck driver that kept the truck at the landfill, and he would drive it around and pick up trash along the road at the dumpster sites where people had thrown the trash on the ground. And I mean, it stayed on the road 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, when that was the case. And then when we got the manned sites, it's not used as much, but it's still used when there's trash on the ground, trash is blown out. There's special places they have to go to pick up tires and debris beside the road, so it is used.
This is something that we had already included in the budget anyway, correct?
It was something that was included in the capital improvement request last year for a future year.
That's what I thought I remember that. I
Yeah.
move that we replace the boom truck.
I'll
Both of y'all
second, I
moved.
would make motion.
Okay, been moved and second, we replace the boom truck. All in favor with a roll call vote?
Ms. Astrop.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Conwell.
Aye.
Ms. Howerton's going to give you all some additional information in regards to CIP requests. And on those forms that she will give you, you'll see multiple spreadsheets there. The first one is a short sheet. It lists all of the CIP requests that we have received. That includes future years, which would include fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. There's an additional long sheet that has the future fiscal year projects as well. You'll see we have in fiscal year 23 on the long sheet, there's a money to go towards the Maymac Shell Building, which is $4 million. There's also a request to replacement of the brush truck with mini pumper, replacement of the roll-off truck for $180,000. You'll also see other future fiscal year projects include assistance with the natural gas line and for $7 million, the continuation of the Liberty Road extension, the replacement of the brush truck with a mini pumper, and also replacement of engine 33. The board can choose to move these around to different fiscal years as needed. This is just for your informational purposes at this time. If you all decide that you would like to move any to the current fiscal year, please let us know. You'll also see some copies of those requests as well. The capital project request is included behind that sheet for those projects. Do you all have any questions in regards to those additional requests?
Let me make sure I'm clear here. I'm looking at here where it says for the courthouse expansion, they're asking for that in FY '22?
That is FY '22, it's 2.175 million. That's a continuation from last year. It was requested previously and was placed in the budget last year. That would be a bond proceed process. So that is listed there now, and again, that's not included in the bottom line for the budget because it would be a bond process, and the city would also share in those costs.
That's one that I would like to take off of the fiscal year '22 because there's still too many questions to be answered about it.
And we can move that at your request to another fiscal year.
I think we need to take the Shell building off as well.
Yes.
Okay. We will make those notes and remove those from the final CIP packet that is distributed. Any other comments? All right, moving on to the final item on the budget work session today, which is schools. So far, everything that we have discussed has been included in your updated budget expenditures. The operational cost that we will look at is also included in your updated budget expenditures. I would like to make a note that any of the capital improvement project requests by the school system are not currently included in the budget. That is a process which has to be decided by the school contract. As you all are currently aware, there's been no agreement reached between Greensville County and the city of Emporia in regards to the school contract for the upcoming fiscal year. Part of that school contract determines how and what method will be used to fund or to determine the cost of students attending schools. Ms. Howerton is distributing several sheets to you. If you'll take a look at the single sheet which says fiscal year '22 school funding ADM method at the top, that is a single sheet. You'll see that spreadsheet listed. The current request from the public school system is $10,188,809. That's the total request for the city and the county. Using strictly the ADM method, which is the average daily membership, that will be an equal cost between both parties, which will be $4,995 per pupil. You'll see Greensville has a total of 1,160 students. The city of Emporia has a total of 880 students. Based on the cost per pupil of a pure ADM method, which again is the average daily membership divided equally, for Greensville, the cost will be $5,793,636. For the city, the $4,995 multiplied by the number of students, 880, will give the city's share of $4,395,173. Again, that's a total of $10,188,809. One of the proposals that one of the options that the county has mentioned is doing a 5% premium over pure ADM cost for the students, which means Greensville would pay 5% more per student versus the city. Again, if you all remember, the county and the city are still in negotiations for a school contract. So if you all proceed, or if it's determined between the city and the county that this is the method that would happen, the county again would pay a 5% premium over pure ADM cost. That would be $5,244 per pupil times your 1,160 students. That would give you a total locality cost of Greensville for I'll get it right in a minute, $6,083,318. For Emporia, it will be $4,665. By their number of students will be $4,105,480, which again would arrive us back to the $10,188,799. The 5% over premium pure ADM cost that you see again for Greensville, the $6,083,318 is what is currently in the budget expenditures. And that can be found on page 25 on a line item 93,900, 9201. And that is what is currently in the budget. Again, this is purely operational cost. This does not include any capital improvement projects. We'll talk about capital improvement projects in just a moment. This is something that you all do not have to make a decision on tonight. We'll need to make a decision soon. Dr. Evans reached out to Mr. Johnson with the city and myself today, inquiring about the budget process and and some other questions as well. So we will need to make a decision soon. I will respond back to her accordingly and send that information to you all. But again, I know we're waiting on the contract between the city and the county before we can proceed with the breakdown of capital improvement and as far as the cost per student method. Do you all have any questions?
If my memory serves me correctly, we're still waiting on a response from the city,
Yeah.
from our last proposal. So once we receive that from the city, we can move forward with this.
And our last offer was ADM plus 5%.
And just to mention, Dr. Evans, some of the things she was asking about is the timing of the process, because it was very imperative to the school division. They, one, have to issue contracts to all employees. They have to certify the required local effort will be met by each locality to the Department of Education. And they also have to plan for summer construction projects to be completed before school reopens. Based on if the decision is made to do the 5% over premium, it would meet the required local effort.
And also, we understand this is the third year that we have gone through this, trying to get some resolved. So the holdup is definitely not coming from the county. You know. So this is our third year in a row going through the same process.
Any other comments in regards to the school calculation and the ADM method? The last item you'll see in your packet is an updated information from Ms. Hargrove. That includes the operational budget. The last page you will see are the capital improvement project request, and that has been revised. Again, I'd like to mention this is not included in what is listed currently in the budget. These are, again, would be dependent upon what is decided between the city and the county based on the school contract. You'll see they have now added some additional items for CARES funding to cover. To replace the rooftop HVAC unit at the school board office, roof repairs at EW Wyatt, and purchase of 3 new school buses have now been moved to CARES funding. And you'll see right now their total request is $2.310 million. That includes replacing the windows at GCHS, installing an emergency generator and update electrical panel, installing a new fire alarm system at GCHS, the bus garage addition, which is phase 3, and a covered walkway from the bus lot to the parking lot area and, to the school at Greensville Elementary. Do you all have any questions?
Have they included their new allotment under the CARES fund, or they're still waiting on theirs?
Yes, the ones in green should be, with the exception of the replaced windows at GCHS, the third column, those 3 items, the replace the rooftop HVAC unit, the roof repairs at EW Wyatt, and the purchase of 3 new school buses are all included in their new CARES funding, from my understanding, for the schools. Any additional questions? At this time, there's no other items that we have to present for the budget work session. If you all have no other questions, if you would like to adjourn, we would need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second that we adjourn. All in favor?
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Conwell?
Aye.